Why should you prepare for RBI Grade B? Simple. You are getting double the salary that an SBI PO gets. So if a SBI PO gets around 50,000, you are bound to get about 1 lakh per month I'm talking about. And why am I qualified to give you this information? Because I have reached the interview of the 2018 RBI Grade B exam and I secured one of the highest marks in that exam on that year. However, unfortunately, I could not make it to RBI. नहीं तो यहाँ पे क्यों होता? But anyhow, I want to help you understand this exam and I want to give you the strategy for it in a way nobody has ever given you on YouTube. Let's begin. Join my Telegram channel to stay connected with important PDFs, links and other information regarding bank exam preparation. And if you like this video, please click on the like button and share it with your friends so that everybody can get access to this information. And if you are new here, my mission is to empower you with the tools you need to get success in all kinds of competitive examinations. So if you want to join me in this journey, please click on the subscribe button and also do not forget to click the bell icon so that you, my friend, do not miss any future update. Let us begin with this video. Hi, this is Shupriyo. The RBI Grade B examination needs no introduction. We all know about the salary, the perks and so many career opportunities that it can give us. If any of you do not know that, please let me know. I'll make a different salary video. But it is one of the premier jobs in the country and of course the best job in the banking sector. Even I know a lot of my friends who were preparing for UPSC exams, once they got selected in RBI Grade B, they gave up their UPSC preparation. It is that good a job. So it's natural that if you want to get into the pinnacle of the banking industry, the road to that is very tough. And this examination, it is a multi-tiered examination. In this video, we are going to discuss mostly about the prelims and the mains part. So basically the phase 1 and the phase 2. Before I begin, I want to make a point that this video is going to discuss everything about self-study. So I assume that you are going to go and prepare in this examination alone and you do not have any kind of materials. Now I want to make clear that I am not against any paid material. There are a lot of offerings in the market right now and they are charging a lot of money. Now if you are somebody who does not have the time to invest to go through all of the things that I am saying over here, then go ahead and buy whatever you wish. But remember, no matter what you are buying, you have to do self-study. There is no material out there which covers 100% of the syllabus. So be ready to go out and hunt for whatever you need. You have to be the best of the best of the best to get through this examination. And remember another thing, if you are not somebody who can afford all of these expensive materials, I have something to tell you. Now it's quite similar to what Albus Dumbledore actually said in Prisoner of Azkaban. When in doubt, I have found that thinking of the telecom industry actually reveals a lot of answers. Now those of you who are smart will understand what I'm trying to say. It's better to leave it at that. So let's begin. This exam structure, first we come to the examination structure. So there are 3 main phases like most of the examinations, but you have to remember that this examination, this RBI Grade B examination, it is actually not one exam. It is actually 3 exams in one. So it is kind of a combo package, you can say, because this phase 1, phase 2 and phase 3, 3 of the different phases that you are seeing, the preparation for that is a little bit different. So when you are reading about phase 1, a few of the things, only a very few of the things will be applicable in phase 2, and when you are reading for your interview, there are only a slight kind of basics and concepts from phase 2 that will be applicable for phase 3, but there is a different kind of a preparation for phase 3. So each of these different phases, they require their own type of preparation. And in this video, I am not going to talk much about the interview because I already have a playlist out there. So I have talked all about in detail for the RBI Grade B interview. So go check that out if you are wanting to know about the interview process. So we are mainly going to focus on phase 2. That's going to be the primary focus, and I'll just slightly talk through the objective test, the phase 1, because these things most of the people know. And finally, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So phase 1, you have 200 marks in phase 1. In phase 2, you will be having 300 marks, and the interview is of
50 marks. So in the end, it will be out of 350. This is only qualifying. And after you have gone through all the phases and you are selected, there will be a document verification and a medical examination. Once you pass that, you can go ahead and book your ticket for RBI Staff College, the Reserve Bank Staff College, RBSC it's called, in Chennai. So that is where your induction happens, and that's the dream for so many out there who are watching this video, the Reserve Bank Staff College, making it there as an RBI Grade B officer. So let us go to the prelim section first. So in the prelim section, this is very important. Some things are actually not understood by the aspirants. So they will be going only on the phase 2. So they'll be focusing mainly on the phase 2 part of the examination. But many of them are actually just neglecting the prelims phase. Do not be one of those aspirants, because I have seen many of my own friends who were very well prepared with phase 2, but they could not crack phase 1, the prelim section, and then they just had a lot of regret. So don't be like that. Prelims is very important. You have to qualify this. Without this, you cannot go to phase 2, remember. And I'll just take you through the process. So there will be 200 marks in total, 200 questions and 200 marks, and the time allotted is 120 minutes, 2 hours. And as you can see, like the number of questions, so GA there will be 80 questions, reasoning 60, English will be 30 questions, and quant will be 30 questions. So for English and quant, the marks allotted are the same, 30 marks each and 25 minutes. And for the GA and reasoning, the GA minutes is 25 minutes and the marks is 80, and reasoning 60 marks, 45 minutes. Now the main problem that happens is people feel that this is like any other exam. So what they do, they focus on only 2 sections strongly, and then they feel that they can overcome the exam. But this exam is quite different. Not only do you have the sectional timings, so when you are doing the GA section, you will be locked for 25 minutes. For the English section, you will be locked for 25 minutes. Like this it's going to be. But not only the sectional locking you have, but you also have sectional cutoffs. This is the exam where you will still be having sectional cutoffs. So each section you have to pass. Now people usually, what they used to do earlier, they would focus on the GA section, and this is a no-brainer. All of the videos that you see, they will tell you that you have to focus on the GA section. 80 marks are there. You have to score the maximum amount of marks, and they used to focus on any one of the other 3 sections. But now the scenario has changed. Why is this? Because the aggregate cutoff of this examination in 2019, it was 122 marks. So can you believe, out of 200, the cutoff, this is for the general section I'm talking about, it was 122. And even for the OBC category, it was around 115, and the SC category, it was around 108. So you can understand how the competition has actually increased. Nowadays, what you have to do is, you have to have a very clearly outlined strategy for your GA section. So GA section, your target has to be 70 plus. It's quite doable. A good student will get 60, 65 plus, and a great student will be getting 70 plus. Without a 70 plus, it becomes really, really difficult to actually ace the exam. So target for 70 plus, and then you have to be good in reasoning. This is very, very important for this phase 1 exam. You have to be very, very good in the reasoning section. It is an indispensable section, because see, in these 2 sections you have 140 marks. So 70% of the marks is just in GA and reasoning. So another thing is, see, GA section, it will be 25 minutes. This is just, you can go and do, not an issue at all. But for the reasoning section, you have 45 minutes. The others are all 25. Can you see? So they are focusing quite a lot on the reasoning section. So you have to have a strong reasoning section to ace the phase 1 exam. Remember this, it's very, very important. The rest of the 2 sections that you have, you can be a little bit good or bad in any of these sections. It's not so much important, but the reasoning you have to be very, very good, because it carries a huge amount of marks. Now coming to the cutoffs, you can see that 20 marks was the cutoff for GA. So for GA it was 20. Now of course it's just indicative of the lowest range, but you have to go and score at least 70 plus to get a very good standing in this examination. We already talked about that. For the reasoning section, C, it is 15. So out of 60, 15 is the cutoff. You have to get at least 15. And for the rest two sections, the cutoff was 7.5. So for English and for Quant, their cutoffs were 7.5 each. Now this is why for English and Quant, do not worry too much. If you are good in any one of these sections, then focus a bit more on that, and the other section just try to score at least 10 plus, because each year the cutoff, the sectional cutoff, it is in the same range. So if you get above 10, you are going to clear the cutoff, no issue at all. So you must do it like this. You can have a very strong preparation in the GA section. This will actually a little bit help you in the next phase 2 examination as well. So focus on the GA section and in the reasoning section a lot. Now I have a lot of videos where I've talked about these, and in the future also I'll be making a lot more reasoning focused and GA focused videos. So you can follow my channel for all of those contents, and I am not going to go deep into how you are going to tackle it, because I have already talked about this in various videos and you must have already seen those. So this is the overall strategy that you need to follow, and remember of course that is going to be only of qualifying nature. So phase 1 marks, they are not going to be added, and this is all about the phase 1 examination, the prelims examination. Now let us move to the next section. Coming to the phase 2 section. So phase 2 is going to be very important. Why? Because the marks that you get in phase 2, they are going to be added in your final tally. So basically in phase 2 there are 3 papers: economic and social issues, which we call ESI. This is the first paper. Then you have the English writing skills, and then you have the paper 3, finance and management, which is FM. So for each of these 3 papers you have 90 minutes each. So this is very interesting. 90 minutes each, and the marks are also the same. So 100 marks are there for each of the papers. So they are 3 equally important papers. This is something that is very important. So 300 marks you will be getting over here, 300, and there is going to be an interview of 50 marks. So out of 350 you are finally going to be scored. And the economic and social issues paper, it's going to be objective type. So it's going to be just MCQs that you are going to solve within this 1.5 hours. And the English writing skills, it's going to be descriptive and it has to be typed with the help of the keyboard. So as I always say, you must simulate this, and when you are practicing, you must practice writing on the keyboard. Very important. And the FM paper, again, it's going to be objective type. Now note one interesting thing here. This is the exact order in which you are supposed to answer these papers. So there are going to be 2 shifts, so it's not happening in one shift. So in the morning shift, you are going to be having the ESI and the English. So these 2 papers, they are going to be held in the morning shift. So you have these 2 papers back to back. So ESI, MCQs you finish off, and then your English paper just it starts automatically, and then you type out all the English things, and finally the paper ends. Then you get a short break, and it's very important that you use this break well. Don't just while away your time, have something to eat, just refuel and then attack the next paper, which is the finance and management. It is always held in the noon shift, and so you must have that endurance as well, because after these 2 papers you are going to get the finance and management. So note that very well. And there is also something interesting that you must see, that for both the ESI and the FM papers, you are going to have 65 questions in total. So there are going to be 31 markers and there are going to be 35 2 markers. This I am saying for the ESI section and for the finance and management section. Of course the English is going to be descriptive, you are going to type it out. So in both of ESI and FM, the 31 markers, they are comparatively much easier. So they are very much basic questions, and they are just one-liners, very easy. But in the 2 marker questions, they are much more complex. So in the 2 markers, what they do, they will be giving you a short passage. So you have to read a short passage, and then based on that passage, they will be asking you some questions. Now the answer is not in that passage. You have to actually know the data points and then answer, but they are going to give you a passage, and they make the questions very tricky. They will give it in such a way that you might think, okay, this is talking about the startup sector, for example, say, but actually there was an undertone where they had hidden something about ease of doing business or something about the agricultural sector. So you must read those passages very minutely, and then you go to the questions and you just answer them, because these questions, the 2 markers, very complicated kind of options questions you will be seeing. So they will be confusing you with very strange kind of options. So 2 markers, they are not so easy, but it can be done. You have to have very good concepts, and of course you will be able to solve them. Another thing that I want to just notify you is that the mocks. So we always talk about mocks, right? That mocks are very important. But as I told you that RBI, it is an agglomeration of actually 3 kinds of papers. So phase 1 mock is very, very important. But when you come to phase 2, mock tests are not important at all. You have to cover the entire breadth of the syllabus. So it's not so important that you give some mocks, because 90 minutes, it's enough time to solve each of the questions. Only 65 questions, you have 90 minutes. Ample time you will be having to read. The important thing to do is not to simulate here. The important thing is that you have to cover the breadth of the entire syllabus. So don't focus too much on mocks. Focus on finishing off as much of the syllabus as possible. Now coming to the cutoffs. So the cutoffs for this 300 marks that you are saying, in 2018 the cutoffs I'm talking about, because 2019 the cutoffs have not yet come. Can you imagine? The interviews are still going on and they have actually not declared the marks yet. So these cutoffs I am showing you of 2018. So 201.25, this was the cutoff out of 300 marks, remember. Now there's an very interesting thing over here. The final cutoff, it was 248.50. Now these are all general cutoffs that I am talking about. SC, ST and OBC, they are a little bit lesser. So it's just 10 or 20, 25 marks like that. So we are just going with the general cutoff. So 201.25, it was out of 300, remember. Now when you add the interview, it comes out of 350. Out of 350, the cutoff was 248.50. Now what does this tell you actually? I'll tell you another interesting thing. In the interview, if you get above a 40, it's actually a great score in an interview. So in 2018, the people who were selected, the highest score in the interview, it was actually 46. Now if a candidate had actually scored 201.25, can you believe this? He would never have made it to the final list. Why? Because the maximum marks were 46 and you cannot get over 248.50 with just a 46. So understand this thing very, very well. Your marks in phase 2 are critical to have your selection in RBI. In phase 2, you should not just target above 200. You must target 220 to 230 to be in the safe side. So that should be your target. Now, how are you going to actually do this? Actually, you have to have a target of at least 70 in each of the sections. So that is something that is a thumb rule, you can say. So if you get above 60, it's a good score in all of the sections. But if you get above 70, it's a very, very good score. And if you get above 80, which is only a few people will get that, it's an excellent score. So try and at least have a benchmark of 70 in each of these 3 papers. At least 70 you will be needing. And if you are good in English, you can at least get a little bit leverage from that section. And if you have a little bit less knowledge of either ESI or FM, you can pull up your marks using the English. So have that kind of calculation in your mind when you are attempting this paper. And it's not easy at all. So I would recommend that you target for at least 210 to 225 if you are a general category student. So just keep in mind that if you got bang on the cutoff in your phase 2, then you are not going to make it. And this, what I am telling you, it's true for the general category and also for the OBC category. For SC and ST, you might make it through if you get a stellar interview. But for OBC and general, you need to have marks which are much higher than the cutoff. So just note that. And there are 2 big pillars of your preparation. So this is very, very important. 2 very important things that will actually encapsulate your ESI and your FM preparation both. They are, number 1, Economic Survey of India, both the volumes, volume 1 and volume 2. So it's very important that you read the whole document. But if you are having trouble reading the Economic Survey, I have actually made a playlist where you can get the entire idea of the document. I will be covering the exact PDF. So I have already made 2 of them, and just last 3 chapters are left. I think I'll be publishing that very soon. And for the budget as well, it's quite important that you go through the budget speech, the actual PDF that was released by the government. So I have also made a series on the budget, and you can go check it out. It will help you a lot. This Economic Survey and budget from these two documents, in phase 1 you might expect some, and in phase 2 there might be a 1 or 2 marker, but the most amount of questions are not going to come from this. So why are we saying that it's a pillar? Because it will actually help you understand all the economic principles. It will help you understand how the government is thinking, and these two documents, the budget and economic survey, I cannot stress enough how important these are. So make sure that you have studied them properly. And now, how do you prepare your notes? So this is also something that you need to understand. You need to be very, very effective about it. So no material is enough. As I was saying, that no matter what you will be buying, you have to go to the internet, you have to hunt for materials, you have to hunt for many kind of things. So always have a strategy that you are making your own notes. You can do it in the short form, no need to go long form. Just if you use shorthand as well, it will do, but your own notes must be there. And very important, it should be cross platform notes. Now don't go ahead and write down on pen and paper. So pen and paper I do not recommend in this examination to make notes. Why is that? Because you have a vast and copious amount of data to actually write. There is a vast amount of thing that you have to study, you have to recollect, you have to actually revise. So this is very difficult when you are on a paper note. So there are 3 E's actually. So it has to be easily editable. Whatever you are using to actually make the notes, it should be easily editable, it should be easily updatable, so easy updation, and also easily searchable. So these are the 3 pillars that you must actually have in mind when you are creating your own notes. So make sure that you do it digitally, because these 3 things you cannot do it in a paper note. And also another thing is, you should be able to use these notes for years, because in the first attempt it's really difficult to crack RBI, but you must have a long-term horizon, that if I am giving this exam for 2 years, for 3 years, then my notebooks, they are going to wear out, right? You are not going to have all the access, because the papers will go here and there. But if you have made it digitally, then it also helps you to re-attempt this examination. So always use digital notes. And the 2 best options in my mind, the first one is Evernote. So Evernote I have personally used, and I would recommend it to everybody, because you can make your notes on PC, you can make your notes on mobile, you can have it with you wherever you are going. It's very easy to revise, and for working professionals, Evernote is extremely good. Some of my friends have had success with Google Drive notes. I would not recommend it because it's not so easy to organize. So in Evernote, what you can do, you can create notebooks. So you can create notebook of ESI, of FM, of management, and also about phase 1, and maybe you do it about government schemes as well. So different notebooks, different things you can collate together, and it will be very easy to actually study. So make sure you have digital notes which can actually give you cross-platform functionality. Now we move to the first paper, ESI, Economic and Social Issues, and boy, do I hate this paper, mostly because of government schemes. So there are tons and tons of government schemes that you must actually memorize, and this is the only thing which actually covers almost the entire syllabus of ESI, government schemes. So let's take a look at how we can cover them effectively. Now I know that you have a lot of PDFs and other things with which you can cover all the government schemes, but because government schemes play such an important role in this exam, I want you to do something different as well. So what I want you to do is go to Google and just type in a list of Indian ministries. So just type that into Google, and you will be getting this Government of India directory.nic.in. So here what you can see is, you can see each and every ministry of the government. Now note very clearly that all of these different ministries, you must know all the government schemes that have been covered in these ministries from 1999 till date. I know that it actually sounds a little bit too much, but this is what the RBI Grade B exam actually expects from you. So what you can do is just copy each of the ministries, just copy it, go to Google and write this ministry name, schemes PDF. So once you type that in, the first few results will have what you are looking for. So for example, you can see over here, you can just click over here and see the ministry major schemes. So it is the Department of Agriculture Cooperation on Farmers Welfare. So all the major schemes that have been launched by this department, by this ministry, you can get. So there will be different download links for different ones, and so what I want you to do is just write down in your notebook each of these ministries, and just for starters, what you can do, you can just write the names of each of these schemes. So just write down the names, don't go into much detail, just write down the names, and as and when you will be getting more and more information about these schemes, just keep on adding it to your list. So just use Evernote or any kind of online system that I told you, and write down the ministry name and all the different schemes. So like we are doing here for the Ministry of Agriculture. So what you can do, for example, if you want, let's say the Ministry of Finance, so just copy it, go to Google, Ministry of Finance, schemes PDF. So just type that, and you will be finding a lot of these things. So for example, over here you go, you can see all the different schemes that have been launched by the Ministry of Finance. So this will actually help you, but here you will not have all the information sometimes. So for example, you don't have a PDF when you search for this. So just go back, write down the names from that link. So you can write down the different scheme names from that link, but we can also try different other links as well. So for example, you can see over here there is a PIB link. So if we go over there, we can find some new scheme related information. So you see the dates, always see the dates. If they are updated, then you can take that info. So you can use this info and you can put it into all the things that you have actually prepared. So in this way, I want you to go to each ministry website and then download their PDF. So you can get the list of the ministries over here. And now interestingly, you have to see that there are lots of different kinds of ministries here, and you might feel that some are not important, but I can assure you that this exam, it will actually surprise you. So better you cover as much as possible. Just do it in a structure. So first write the ministry names, then write down each of the schemes, and then expand upon that as you go along. So you can use the PDFs that you have got from Vision IAS or any other kind of institute for the government schemes. So once you get that, you can just populate it. So you have to create a master list of all of the different government schemes. So this is how you should do it. So that's all about the government schemes and how you are going to prepare. So it plays a very, very vital role. So do not neglect government schemes at all. So of course it's difficult to memorize, but there's no other way. And then you also have the budget and the economic survey. So we already talked about this. So these are the two main pillars for both your ESI and your FM. You can find them on my channel. Now we have also got to cover all the economic centric news. So each month there are a lot of news regarding the economy. There are a lot of social news as well. So one of the best places to cover it from is the Vision IAS PDFs. So they have monthly PDFs, and they also have something called the PT 365. So grab a hold of that PT 365 and read that cover to cover. It's very, very important. They also have some government scheme related documents. You can go check it out, and as I told you, you can just populate all the schemes, and then you can just put whatever you want from the PT 365 and from the other documents. Vision IAS should be your central source, and build the other sources around it for your economic centric current affairs. And Insights on India is also quite good. They have also a thorough analysis of the economic events. So if you get time, you can go through Insights of India, and IAS Parliament sometimes also has some good articles that you can read. So keep the base as Vision IAS, and then the other two you can just add on whenever you have some time to do that. Then the next thing, which is very, very critical, it is the PIB website, the Press Information Bureau website. This is the most important website of the government that gives out news. And all these websites that you see, the GK Today, the FS Cloud, the Bankers Adda, etc., all of them, they pick their news from PIB. So PIB is like a central repository of every kind of news that's important to the government. And I have seen even the PIB, just excerpts, being picked up and given as 2-marker questions in the ESI section. So make a habit of reading the authentic news from PIB as much as possible. There are lots of sources which will give you some breakdown or some collection of PIB news. So those are very important as well. And another thing that PIB gives you is the year-end review. So the year-end review of each and every ministry. So for example, Ministry of Finance year-end review, Ministry of MSME the year-end review. So in the year-end review, they have some kind of listings of very important things that happened in the year. So you can get a hold of all the important happenings, and PIB will be forming another very important component of your ESI preparation. So make sure to go through that. There is also a PRS India website. So what this website does, they have some monthly policy reviews. So you can search their website for monthly policy reviews. They will give you all the important legislations in a very comprehensive and easy to digest manner. So I often used to take the PDFs, the monthly policy reviews, and I used to read the different kinds of important legislation. So for example, when the IBC was having a lot of changes, wherever there was changes, they used to have the acts and the various kinds of bills. It was very easy to actually cover it from the monthly policy review of PRS. So just take a look at the previous year question papers and you will understand what kind of questions can come. But in ESI, do not rely too much on the previous year questions, because each year they will be giving something new. It's much important in the finance FNM paper. So we'll get to that a little later. International reports, yes, these are also very important. All the reports by the World Bank, the IMF, the United Nations, and all the sister organizations. All the organizations are very important, and in fact even the OECD, so Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development of Europe, what was very interesting was in one of the years of RBI, they said that there was an economic survey of India. So people thought that this was the economic survey of India that we in India make, but they actually said that it was made by OECD. So that was the first time that I got to know that OECD also prepares economic survey of India, and this was news to me. So all the international reports, take the facts and the figures from those reports and try to memorize them as much as possible, because they can ask you any kind of report. And the ESI focused general awareness, of course, after your phase 1 ends, you have to do a note cleanup. So try and read all of these current affairs up to 6 months. So at least 1 week prior to the exam, you can just stop it, and for 6 months you must have all the data very, very well memorized. And the last 3 months from the exam are very, very important, much more important, because focused questions can come from that. Now there is no limit, of course, but this is just for your own reference. And when you are doing this note cleanup after phase 1 ends, all the current affairs that you had actually collated, you can just take out all the irrelevant stuff and you can just keep the relevant stuff, and that is how you will be doing your note cleanup. Because general awareness for phase 1, you are reading a lot of things, but in phase 2 it is much more concentric, it is much more less and much more focused. So try to do your note cleanup after phase 1 ends. And you have to review the UPSC prelims questions as well. Now there's a difference. There are many UPSC aspirants which actually give RBI, but the most important difference they miss is that the UPSC, they ask very complex and very analytical kind of questions. In RBI, the questions are much simpler and they will ask you data driven questions. So facts, figures, numbers, they are very important to remember for the RBI examination, but not so much important in UPSC. So that's a distinction, and the UPSC prelims questions will actually help you understand what are the areas where you need to focus. So you don't have to see the type of question, like don't go into the depth of that question, just understand the areas. So those areas are very important to cover. And of course for static, you only need for concepts, and not much of static is asked in the ESI paper, just a less amount of marks will come, and the 1 markers, of course, some of the things regarding economics will be asked. So I have a playlist of economics, you can go check it out. I'll be adding a lot more videos to that will actually help you with the economics concepts. And the focus should be on the dynamic. So keep a mind on this, that dynamic current affairs, they are very important in the ESI or even in the FM. It's very important to see. Now let's get to the syllabus breakdown. So the syllabus is very important. ESI, FM and management, all the syllabus has has been provided by RBI. I'll also put it in my channel if you want. But what RBI gives you, RBI does not actually explain what are the things that you need to focus on. So that I have tried to do over here. So all the government schemes since 1999, you have to know, you have to memorize, you have to just remember all of these schemes. So this is a very critical thing, and government schemes, I am repeating again and again, they form the most important pillar of your ESI preparation. So do not neglect them at any cost. So it's very important. Economic survey and budget, we already talked about the importance of those two. So you have to cover macroeconomics now. So how GDP is calculated, the GVA, the GDP at factor cost or market prices. So all the various methods of calculation of GDP and all the various methods by which we actually calculate the GVA, all these things you must memorize very, very well. Definitions as well as the important figures that you can find. Then we have the national income, so the gross national income, the net national income. Then we also have the per capita income. So these are the kinds of things which directly were asked in the ESI papers of various years. So you cannot neglect them. So NNP, GNP, the FDI and FII, these are very important. There are various definitions of these two things and very important developments. So the recent numbers you must note, and you must also note the various definitions, the various classifications, very, very important. Then you have to read about the fiscal deficit, revenue deficit, the effective revenue deficit, and of course the balance of payments. These are also quite important. I have actually covered it through various videos, so you can go check it out. Types of money, this is also very important. Money multiplier concept, this also is something you can find on my economics playlist. And these are the things from macroeconomics that are very important to actually cover. So not a lot of questions will come, but you have to have these concepts in your mind. Monetary policy versus fiscal policy, this is very important, and a lot of questions are focused around this section. Then you also have the sustainable development goals of 2030 and the intended nationally determined contributions. Very important to know what India's INDC is, and also the sustainable development goals. So all the 17 goals and the 169 targets you have to memorize by heart. Then you have the planning commission, the Niti Aayog, and the various reports. So the reports that are actually published by Niti Aayog are very important. Directly questions can come from that, and also about the planning commission, what the government is thinking about the Niti Aayog. These are also very important to cover. The Indian economy changes since 90s. So the globalization concept. So what have been the changes since the 90s? So we had the BOP crisis. Then how did we get to the reforms? All the important things you have to cover through the various time frames. And then you have the poverty alleviation and employment. So this is actually covered a lot through the government schemes, but you also have to cover the indexes. So each and every index of India you have to memorize by heart. All the committees as well you have to memorize by heart. These are also very, very important things. Then you have the human development index, the maternal mortality rate, the IHDI. So all these things you must memorize as much as possible from the international scenario and the domestic scenario as well. So India's ranks in all of these economic parameters are very, very important. Development parameters are also important. The 14th Finance Commission and the 15th Finance Commission now. So we'll soon get the complete report, and it's very important that you cover the finance commissions. What were the changes, how the horizontal devolution and the vertical devolution changes actually happened. So keep a note of all of these changes. Then you have the international institutions. So about the IMF, the World Bank, the World Trade Organization, and the United Nations. So UNDP is a focus over there, but also the other kinds of sister bodies of UN. So all these bodies that I am talking about, you have to actually learn in depth about what they publish, about when they were formed, and also about their composition and how they are actually represented by the different countries. So also something like the SDR, the special drawing rights of the IMF, very, very important to cover all these international bodies. Inflation is very important, CPI, WPI, IIP, etc. So all the types of inflation and the definitions of all of these things, the base years, what has been changed recently. So you can expect a lot of questions from CPI, WPI and IIP. So make sure you cover that comprehensively. The FRBM Act, the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act. So this act is very, very important, and the disinvestments and privatizations in the context of this act are very important to cover. Then you have the various different acts. So this section, RBI Act, the Banking Regulation Act, the Companies Act, these acts, just you have to remember the recent news related to these acts, not in depth. So you also need to know about the constitutional powers. So some questions can be asked in RBI about the constitution, the Indian constitution, and what are the powers of the government, of the state. So just make a note of these things. You will be finding a lot of this in the Vision IAS and all the other PDFs that I told you. Then you have to read about the ease of doing business, our ranks, and what we are doing to actually improve. The IBC, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, very important. Constitution, what they are doing, what is the success rate, everything. Then you have the demographic trends, the urbanization. So these are not so important, but you just need to know about the happenings there. The labor policy. So India is actually trying to create a new labor policy. Very important that you know the finer details. The export import policy. So the foreign trade policy. So it's going to be ending now. 2015 to 2020 we had the FTP. So new things will be coming. Then there is the RCP, the RCEP, the preferential trade agreements. So all the Indian trade agreements with the multilateral bodies or with other countries, very important to actually note those things. Social movements, empowering the underprivileged. So at least one or two questions are coming from social movements. Some people who have done great things in the Indian society, those kinds of questions sometimes come. And the health and education and the gender issues. So these are also something that you need to note. So that's all about the ESI syllabus breakdown. There's a lot to cover, but don't worry. Just go ahead and attack those and you will actually eventually be able to cover. Now coming to the paper 2, the English paper. So this is all about your writing skills, and I will not go much deep into the English paper because I already have a video out there which actually covers the English descriptive section very comprehensively. This is a very important section. Do not neglect this section. It also has the equal weightage, so your marks can be actually increased a lot with this. So go check out that video. You will understand how you can attempt this paper. I'll just say that it's the most ignored subject, so don't be one of those people. Practice each component at least once weekly. So there are 3 components. There's the essay, the précis, and the reading comprehension. So at least one of each you must practice weekly. So essay usually has 40 marks and it is a 300 word essay. Précis has 30 marks, 150 words, and the reading comprehension has 30 marks. So you will be given at least 5 different topics for essay. So don't worry about it. Just keep on practicing and practice via the digital note making. So as I told that if you make the digital notes, your life becomes a lot easier. So when you are making those notes on Evernote or on Google Drive, then you are actually practicing the English section as well, because the typing speed will be improved. So try to make digital notes. Use the economics concepts. Of course, economic survey is very important. Economic survey and budget also, to actually ace the English section, because you will be getting so many ideas from the economic survey and budget. So that's why you should be reading it cover to cover. And of course, you'll be finding a lot of help through my channel as well. Let us move to paper 3, the finance and management. So I absolutely love this paper. This is because this paper actually past papers, if you analyze, then in finance and management, especially in management, you can gain a lot of traction. So always try to see the past papers for the FM, because you will be helped a lot. And of course, RBI current affairs is very essential. So all the RBI circulars, all the different RBI news. So I have an entire playlist where I have covered all the RBI news, and I will be covering it month to month. So you can go check it out. It will help you to prepare this section in a very comprehensive manner. Now a word about the numericals. So actually in some years, like in the past years, they used to ask a lot of numericals, but recently they have actually reduced asking so many numericals. But still, numericals are important. The calculator is not allowed, remember. So what they do, they can even give you bond questions, but they will actually give you the 1 by 1 plus x or something like that. They will give the value of that, and you can just put it and you can do the calculation. So numericals are definitely important, although in recent years the focus on numericals has reduced. So first, what you have to do, finish the syllabus first, and then you have to focus on the numericals. Don't jump into numericals, the complex numericals. Those will not be asked. Only simple ones are going to be asked. And the next thing is the committees and the reports published by international organizations. Now here you will have a little bit of similarity with the ESI paper. So as you see, ESI and FM, they actually go hand in hand. And if you read the committees over there and the reports over there, you have a lot of coverage of FM as well. And especially all the financial organizations, they can ask you reports of all the domestic or the international financial organizations. Now, the finance bill also very important, and lean systems. This is something that is not mentioned in the syllabus, but RBI often loves to ask these questions. So Kanban, Kaizen, Six Sigma, those things, the principles, these are actually costing subjects, but some questions can come in RBI grade B of these costing subjects. So just take a look into those. And then you have the Investopedia, very important to actually clear your concepts about all the financial terms and the terminologies. So Investopedia should be your friend. And then Mint or Business Standard. So get into a habit of reading these two papers. Try to pick one paper and just focus entirely. So both of them have paid subscriptions, but they are worth it, because Mint and Business Standard, they will be giving you the top quality journalism. And the important thing is, even in the RBI offices, they use the Mint and the Business Standard. So these are the only two financial dailies which will be helping you the most. So make sure that you read those. You can find it online and on apps as well. Managementstudyguide.com. So this is very important for the management section. This website, actually earlier it used to be a lot free, but now a lot of paid courses have been started. So no need to go through those. Just try and get some free courses. I think they give 5 free courses. So try to do the management study from there, and the rest of the management you can cover from Google. Google should be your friend. So try and Google for all the things that you have seen in the syllabus and what I am showing you in these breakdowns. They will actually help you to cover the syllabus very well. The JIB and CIB are also things that can help you, but it's not essential. So I only had done up to JIB back when I was actually attempting for RBI 2018. So I won't say that it was too much helpful, but if you have the books lying around, then you can go and check out them. So that will actually help you. Let us move to the finance syllabus breakdown. So as you see in the syllabus, you must have already seen the syllabus that was actually published by the RBI notification. So they do not say finer details about these things. So the financial news based current affairs is the critical component for your RBI grade B FM paper. This is the section from which the most number of questions will come. The current affairs finance focused MCQs, very important for 1 marker and 2 marker both. Then you have the economic survey and budget. Of course, we already talked a lot about that. RBI FAQs, so frequently asked questions. There is a section in the RBI website, so you must cover them comprehensively. Just make notes on all the RBI FAQs. Very important. I have seen that in the FM paper, they will actually take the excerpts of those FAQs and actually directly ask you questions. So FAQs you must cover 100%. Very important. Then the RBI notification. So all kinds of RBI news. As I told you, I already have a playlist for that. Then you have the risk management in banks, the Basel norms 1 to 3. So these are very important things. And in this context, there is also the prompt corrective action of the RBI. So you must also understand how RBI has tweaked the Basel norms for India and from where it is going to be applicable. So these things are very important. The risk management, types of risk, and all the RBI functions and how they actually apply it to the Indian economy. Then you have the time value of money, the capital asset pricing model, alpha, beta, and the annuities. So all the formulas for all of these kinds of things, and you have to just go into depth about all of these things. The financial inclusion is very, very important. So all these schemes, all the technology that is being used, the self-help groups, how they are going to be helped. So this FI, it is actually a focus area for RBI, and even in the RBI interview, they focus a lot about this. So make sure that you cover it. The banking industry from the 1990s to today. So all the things that happened. So how we actually deregulated the banking industry, how the private banks came in, and now we have on-tap banking licenses. So you have to actually cover the payment banks, the small finance banks, the urban cooperative banks. This is very important for 2020. Urban cooperative banks, I expect a lot of questions from UCBs because they have been a focus area for RBI in the recent years. And of course, you also have to know all about the RBI. So about the structure, go to the website and just see the about section. You will get a lot of important information, and all the subsidiaries of RBI. Make sure that you read all about them. Then you have the NABARD, cover all of these things, the year of founding, what it actually does, the Rural Infrastructure Development Fund. So all the things about all the regulators. So about SEBI, about SIDBI, about IRDI, about the Exim Bank, about the National Housing Bank. So all these things you have to cover comprehensively. Equities and bonds, very important. both the capital markets and the money markets, everything you have to cover. So capital markets and money markets, the primary and the secondary market, the difference between them, they are very important, and almost every time in finance they will be asking these questions. Mutual funds and the basics of derivatives. So mutual funds, sometimes they are asked, so just take a look at them, and basics of derivatives are very important. So I have made a video in which you can understand the basics of derivatives in a very easy manner. So go check out that video. It will help you to actually in one video understand all about the derivatives as much as possible in a succinct manner. Then you have the accounting ratios. Now you have the balance sheet and the P&L basics and the income statement, everything you have to actually understand how the reports are actually read and all the important ratios. So there are around 25 to 30 ratios. So all these ratios formulas you have to jot down, and sometimes they will be asking you these questions. The break even point is also very important. So sums can come from BEP. There is also the degree of operating leverage, degree of financial leverage, and degree of combined leverage. So sometimes the questions can be framed around those, and all the gearing ratios and all these things you must memorize. Then you have the GST, the FRBM, the finance commissions, very important. So GST and FRBM, they will also be asked in the ESI section and the FM section. So it makes sense to cover them comprehensively. Inflation, again another topic from ESI, it is also used in finance. Corporate governance is also there. This is more of a management topic, but you also need it a little bit in the finance. So FM paper, corporate governance is going to be important. Then the management. So in management, I have not gone too much depth into the syllabus because most of the things they are about the management theories. So you will be finding a lot of content out on the internet. Just try to see the past papers. So if you get the past papers, you're getting ideas about how they are going to ask you the questions. MBO is very important, management by objectives, because lot of questions have come from that. Ethics in management are also important. So all the different management theories, also scientific and human relations movement, how Henry Fayol had actually done it, how Peter Drucker had actually done it. So all the important management thinkers, you must know their theories and all the various things that they had proved. Then human resources development, HRD is also very important. Leadership theories, motivation theories, and morale and incentives. So these are the three things where you will be studying all about the theories, all about the founders of these theories, and also about the very important things like the Maslow's hierarchy, the ERG theory. So go deep into these things and understand the concepts. So what is theory X? What is theory Y? What is the McClelland theory of motivation? So all these things, if you can just make notes on them, it's very easy to score a great mark in the management section, because everything you can just memorize and you can just present. And communication is also sometimes asked. So some of the important verbal, non-verbal cues and what are the various ways to influence people, those are also sometimes asked. Corporate governance is a very important thing, and make sure that you read it in the Indian context and also the American and the British, how they had done it differently. So that's all about the management syllabus breakdown. Now we come to the essential books. So books, I would say it's very important to cover books in a short amount of time, but if you have the books with you, it will be actually helpful to refer to them. So don't read it cover to cover, just pick and choose the topics which you do not understand and just read them through. So ESI and FM, these are the two things for which you would need a book. Macroeconomics NCERT textbook for class 12, this is actually very important for ESI because the basics of all the things are actually covered in this book. So I will put a link down in the description of all the books, so you can go check it out. You can buy whatever you want. So I would not recommend that you read cover to cover. Remember, just try and find out the things that are missing from your preparation and then go about your book strategy. Indian Economy by Ramesh Singh or Indian Economy by Uma Kapila. So these are the two books. Only one of them you have to buy. Do not buy both the books, it's totally useless. So I would suggest Ramesh Singh because I have read that and it's actually a lot easier, I think, for people to actually grasp. And the finance and management, so financial management by Prasanna Chandra, a very beautiful book, but it has too much information, too much for the RBI examination. So just you have to pick and choose your topics and you have to read very selectively. Organizational Behavior by SP Robbins, a very important book as well for the management section, but if you are already covering it from Google, there is no need to buy this book. So let us move to the final thing, the final thoughts for the phase 2 preparation. So what is that one word which is going to sum up your RBI grade B preparation? That one word is revision. revise, revise, revise. Very important to revise everything that you have read, because you will be reading tons and tons of information. So processing that information, recollecting them is the most important and the critical thing, which is actually something that I did not used to do, and that is why I suffered a lot, and that is why I don't want you to go through the same suffering. So revise as much as possible. Revision is the key to success in the RBI Grade B examination. And the one tip to prepare MCQ, the phase 2 MCQs faster. So this is a very interesting trick. So what I used to do is, whenever you have these MCQs, so the mock tests, you do not need to waste your 1 hour, 2 hour in these mock tests. What you do, you just submit the mock test and then you get all the answers, right? Then you go question by question by question, because as I told you, for phase 2 mock tests are not important. For phase 2 you actually need a breadth of coverage. So mock tests you do not need, because you do not need to simulate the exam. There is enough time to cover each and every question. So what you need to know the answers. So try to at least get through 3000 to 4000 MCQs as much as possible. You will be understanding for various sources. You will be understanding how the questions can be framed to you, and you can just solve them as much as possible. And with 1 week to go, you should do only revision, no mocks. So only revision. Just revise whatever you have read, because there will be so much information in your head, it will be overflowing. So try and revise as much as possible. And another thing I want to tell you is that you must never be intimidated by the examination. You must believe that you are meant to be in RBI, and you have to go full guns blazing. So do not worry at all. And on exam day, you need to have that endurance. Remember, there is going to be the morning session and the afternoon session. You're going to get a break. Use that break very, very well. Read management in that break. It's very important to remember the management theories and all the founders and so much information. So try and read those things, because usually I would not say that you read something before the exam, but in management it's different, because it's totally on rote memorization. So as much as you read, you will be having a frequency, so the information you will be able to recollect much faster. So use the break well and read those things. And also remember, you must refuel in the break. So make sure that you eat something, otherwise you are going to be feeling very weak by the end of the examination. It is a marathon examination, remember. And a word on how much to attempt. Now this is one of the tricks actually that one of my selected friends told me, and this helped me a lot. You must, and this is very important, you must attempt 90 to 95% of the paper of ESI and FM. There is no other way to get your selection. If you cannot find out the answers to those few last questions, you have to guess. There is no way in which you are getting selected without attempting almost the entire paper. This is something that I usually did not earlier know, but my eyes were actually opened by somebody who was selected. If you do not at least get above 60 in each of the papers, it's impossible to get a selection. So you have to aim for 70 plus. You have to aim to get upwards of 80. So without attempting almost the entire paper, you will not be able to do. This is the reason that ESI becomes such a gamble, because I can guarantee you that in ESI you are going to see questions that you have never seen before, but you have to do intelligent guesswork, otherwise you are out of the race. The final thing that I want to tell you is have a timeline. Now many people, they will be using their 5 years, 6 years to prepare for this examination. They will be wasting so many years to actually get into RBI, but I want to tell you that you should have a timeline. So just make sure that you give yourself 2 or 3 years. Try your maximum during that time, but if it does not happen, then it's okay. Leave the exam. You do not need to get into RBI if you cannot get into it in the timeline that you have provided for yourself. There are things in this life which are much better than RBI, and I am sure that if you are not getting there, there is something much better waiting out there for you. So I hope that you have learned something from this video and that it was beneficial to you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.